my husband, Thomas, my son, Liam, and me, and how our simple, happy life was tested by choices, loss, and an enduring hope that keeps me going. It's a long story, filled with joy, pain, and the quiet strength of a mother's love. I share it because I believe it might touch someone else who's felt the weight of betrayal but still holds on to hope. A simple, happy life. We were an ordinary family living in a small village nestled between rolling hills and dusty roads. Our house was modest, a two-bedroom cottage with creaky floors and a tiny garden where I grew tomatoes and herbs. Thomas worked as a carpenter, crafting tables and chairs for neighbors, while I took care of the house and Liam, our 8-year-old son. We weren't rich, not by any means. Some months, we scraped by, choosing between new shoes for Liam or paying the electric bill. But we were happy. We'd sit together at dinner, laughing over Liam's stories about school or Thomas's silly impressions of the village shopkeeper. Those quiet days, filled with small problems and smaller joys, felt like enough. Liam was the light of our lives. He had Thomas's bright blue eyes and my stubborn streak. After school, he'd run home, his backpack bouncing, and tell me about the frog he'd seen by the river or the math test he'd aced. We'd play cards or read adventure books together, his head resting on my shoulder. Thomas would join us when he got home, his hands rough from work but gentle when he ruffled Liam's hair. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and I loved it. A painful decision one evening, as we sat on our sagging porch, Thomas turned to me with a serious look. "Maria," he said, "life is hard here. The work isn't steady, and we're always struggling. I've been thinking, I could go to the city, find a better job. When I earn enough, I'll come back, and we can move there together. All of us." My heart sank. The city was hours away, a place of noise and strangers. I didn't want to be apart from him. "I don't like it," I said, my voice trembling. "We're a family. We should stay together." Thomas took my hand, his eyes pleading. "I know it's hard, Maria, but it's for us, for Liam. I'll call every day. I'll send money. It won't be forever." He talked to me night after night, painting a picture of a better life, a house with no leaks, a good school for Liam, a future where we didn't have to count every penny. I resisted, but his determination wore me down. Finally, I agreed. "Okay," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But promise you'll come back for us." The day he left, I stood at the bus stop with Liam, watching Thomas board a rickety bus with a single duffel bag. He waved, his smile forced, and I held Liam's hand tightly as the bus disappeared down the road. That night, I cried quietly in bed, the space beside me cold and empty. Liam crawled in beside me, his small arms wrapping around me. "Don't cry, Mama," he said. "Papa will be back soon." I hugged him, praying he was right. A growing distance at first, Thomas kept his promises. He called every evening, his voice crackling through the phone as he told us about the city, its tall buildings, crowded streets, and the construction job he'd found. He sent money every month, small amounts that helped us buy groceries and pay bills. I'd hold the phone to Liam's ear, and he'd chatter about school, his friends, the stray cat he'd named Whiskers. Those calls were our lifeline, a reminder that Thomas was still ours, even if he was far away. But after 6 months, the calls became less frequent. Once a week, then every other week. The money stopped coming too. I'd check the mailbox daily, hoping for an envelope, but it was always empty. I called Thomas, but his phone often went to voicemail. When he did answer, he sounded distracted, rushed. "I'm busy, Maria," he'd say. "Work is tough. I'll call soon." I tried to stay strong for Liam, but every night, I cried into my pillow, wondering what had changed. Money grew tight. The bills piled up, and Liam's shoes were wearing thin. I had no choice, I had to provide for my son. I started going to the village market every morning, setting up a small stall to sell fruits and vegetables I bought from local farmers. I stood in the blazing sun, my hands stained with dirt or shivered in the cold rain, smiling at customers to hide my exhaustion. Liam helped when he could. After school, he'd come home, make simple meals, bread and cheese, sometimes a boiled egg, and wait for me. "You're doing great, Mama," he'd say, his smile so much like Thomas's that it hurt. He was only 8, but he was my rock, my reason to keep going. The return 3 years passed like this: long, grueling days at the market, quiet nights with Liam, and a growing ache in my heart. I prayed for Thomas every day, asking for his safety, for his return. I clung to the hope that he'd come back, that we'd be a family again. Then, one afternoon, as I washed dishes, I heard the rumble of an engine outside. I looked out the window and saw a sleek, expensive car parked in front of our house. My heart leapt. I knew that car didn't belong in our village. I wiped my hands and ran to the window. There he was, Thomas, stepping out of the car, dressed in clothes I didn't recognize, a crisp shirt, polished shoes. He looked different, older, but it was him. I flung open the door and ran outside, tears streaming down my face. "Thomas!" I cried, throwing my arms around him. "You're back!" Liam heard my voice and came running, his eyes wide. "Papa!" he shouted, hugging his father's legs. I was sobbing, laughing, overwhelmed. "Come in," I said. "I knew you'd come back. I prayed for you every day." But Thomas didn't move. His face was cold, distant, not the warm, familiar man I'd loved. He gently pulled away from my embrace. "Thank you, Maria," he said, his voice flat. "But I'm not here to stay. I came to tell you something. I want a divorce." The words hit me like a physical blow. I staggered back, my breath catching in my throat. "What?" I whispered. "A divorce? You said you'd take us with you. I waited for you." We waited. He looked away, his jaw tight. "I don't love you anymore," he said. "I've met someone else. I married her." My world shattered. Married? How could he marry someone else when he was still my husband? My mind reeled, replaying his promises, the nights I'd spent waiting, the sacrifices I'd made. "What about Liam?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What about our son?" Thomas turned to Liam, who was standing silently, his eyes wide with confusion. "Son," he said, his voice softening, "do you want to come with me? I live in the city now. I have money. I'll put you in a good school, buy you nice things. You'll have everything." I stared at Liam, my heart pounding. He'd stay with me, I was sure of it. We were close, bound by years of shared struggles, bedtime stories, and quiet moments. He'd say no, but Liam looked at his father, then at me, and said, "Yes, Papa. I want to live with you." The words cut deeper than anything Thomas had said. I felt like the ground had vanished beneath me. "Liam," I said, my voice trembling, "why? Why are you leaving me?" He looked down, his small hands clenched. "Papa's rich now," he said quietly. "He'll buy me things. I want to go with him." I couldn't breathe. Thomas smiled, a smug twist of his lips that made me sick. I wanted to scream, to beg Liam to stay, but I saw the determination in his eyes. He was only 11, swayed by promises of a better life. I couldn't force him to choose me. With shaking hands, I packed a small bag of his clothes, his favorite blue sweater, the jeans with the patched knee. Thomas waved it away. "No need," he said. "I'll buy him new clothes." I stood at the door as they walked to the car. Liam looked back once, his eyes meeting mine, and I thought I saw a flicker of doubt. But then he climbed into the car, and Thomas drove away. I sank to the floor, my hands shaking, my heart breaking. I cried for hours, the silence of the house deafening. I thought about giving up, about ending the pain. What's the point? I wondered. I have nothing left. But then a thought stopped me cold. What if Liam comes back? What if he needs me? What if he realizes he made a mistake? He was just a child, caught up in his father's promises. I couldn't abandon him. No, I said aloud, wiping my tears. I have to live. I have to wait for my son. A glimmer of hope. Days turned into weeks, then months. I went back to the market, selling my fruits and vegetables, though my heart wasn't in it. The village felt emptier without Liam's laughter, his footsteps running through the house. I kept his room untouched, his books and toys waiting for him. Every night, I prayed he was safe, that he was happy, that he'd come back to me. Then, one morning, the mailman handed me a letter. I never got letters, so I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was $100 and a small note in Liam's messy handwriting. I love you, Mama. My heart stopped. I stared at the money, afraid to touch it, afraid it wasn't real. I tucked it away in a tin box under my bed, unsure what to do. The next month, another letter came, then another. Each one had $100 and the same note. I love you, Mama. 5 months. After Thomas and Liam left, a thicker envelope arrived. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a long letter, written in Liam's careful scrawl. Dear Mama, how are you? It's me, your Liam. I'm so sorry I hurt you when I left. I miss you every day. I think about you all the time, our card games, the stories you read to me, the way you'd sing when you cooked. I knew if I stayed with you, Papa wouldn't give me money. But he gives me an allowance now, and I've been saving it for you. I send it every month because I want you to be okay. Please forgive me, Mama. I made a mistake, but I have a plan. I'm going to keep saving, and one day, I'll come back. I'll take you with me, and we'll be together again. I promise everything will be okay. I love you always, your son, Liam. Tears streamed down my face, falling onto the letter and smudging the ink. I cried and smiled at the same time, my heart swelling with love and hope. My boy hadn't forgotten me. He loved me, and he was thinking of me, even from so far away. I clutched the letter to my chest, whispering, I forgive you, Liam. I'll wait for you. Moving forward, that letter changed everything. I still work at the market, still stand in the sun and rain, but now I feel lighter. I save every dollar Liam sends, adding it to the tin box, dreaming of the day we'll be together again. I don't know when he'll come back, or if Thomas's new wife is kind to him, but I know my son loves me. That's enough to keep me going. I've started finding small joys again. I tend my garden, coaxing tomatoes and basil from the soil. I've made friends with a neighbor, Anna, who brings me tea and listens when I need to talk. I've even started knitting, making a scarf for Liam. For when he returns. Every stitch is a promise, a reminder that I'm still here, waiting. This is my story, and I share it for anyone who's ever felt the pain of loss but held on to hope. Life can break your heart, but love, real, enduring love, can mend it. If you're feeling alone, if you're waiting for someone or something, don't give up. Someone out there cares about you. Someone is waiting for you. Stay strong, believe in love, and never stop hoping. Dear subscribers, thank you for listening to Maria's story. I hope it touched your heart as much as it touched mine. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share. With love, Alicia.